The slam poem I chose to analyze was Some Things You Need to Know Before Dating Me by Jamie Mortara. Jamie Mortara is a non-binary poet with a history of mental illness, and this influenced his the poem that I watched because some of the statements that were made were about his mental illness and about some of the things he's faced struggling with his mental illness. I really enjoyed this slam poem, and I could personally relate to a lot of what he was saying about mental illness and some of his inner thoughts and feelings, and I also really appreciated some of the comedy, and he had a little bit of humor in there as well, which I really like comedy, so it was nice that there was some elements of being serious, but there was also elements of comedy that kind of broke up the really sad parts. The poem is structured as a list, as the poet is giving specific reasons for things. So he would start off with 1 and then say the reason, and then 2, and then so on and so forth. And that was how the whole poem was structured. I found that method to be very effective because it was a lot easier to kind of listen to what he was saying, as it can kind of be hard when you're listening to kind of catch all the information, and so I found it pretty helpful that he broke it up into a list and into different numbers, because I was able to really focus on every little piece of information that he was saying. The speaker was pretty nonchalant. He kept a smile on the entire time, and there were serious parts, but a lot of it was comedy. There was a lot of comedic elements, so he visually kept it pretty lighthearted and was pretty much like smiling throughout the whole poem, and didn't seem to be so super serious as far as his mannerisms and facial expressions. As far as the speaker's body language goes, he was pretty still the entire time. Some head nods here and there, but for the most part, he didn't do a lot with his body language. As far as tone and volume, his volume was pretty much the same throughout, although during the more serious part, which was at the end, he was a little bit quieter, but not much. It was still pretty loud the entire time, and he kept good pitch and good tone, and he was very direct and had a good volume the entire time, and it was super easy and clear to hear him. It was loud, but I didn't feel like he was yelling the information at me. One thing I did notice, though, is that the poet would randomly speed up and then slow down in his sentences and in his speech, which I thought was a little odd. There was one part where it did make sense. At the end, all the comedy was gone, and it was where he was focusing more on the serious topic of his mental health and stuff, and so that, to me, that totally made sense, why he went a little quieter in the volume and decided to speak a little slower so that the audience could really kind of soak in what he was saying and really get the dramatic effect from those powerful words. But he was also slowing down and speeding up throughout like the entire rest of the poem as well, and that part didn't make sense to me because other than the end, he kept the same tone and the same volume, and was just comedy for the most part up until the end, and he still was like slowing down and speeding up randomly, and that really didn't make sense to me because he would say something funny and then have a pause, and then the next funny thing he would say, he would go really fast through it and like go like super fast through that list, and then move on to the next thing, but then sometimes he wouldn't move on as fast. So that I didn't really understand, and I didn't know if that was intentional or if that was just kind of the way he was talking. But other than that, I found the whole poem to be super effective, and I really enjoyed it. I found him to be super engaging, and I really resonated with a lot of the stuff he was saying, and it makes me want to go watch more of his poems. And yeah, I really liked his poem and the way he delivered it.